Okay, so this was interesting. I just wanted to get this through because I didn't think of it that way. But now that he brought it up, I'm like, so basically, isn't the Christian religion anti-Semitic? Hear me out. Let me get to it.
Your arguments are shallow. Ilan Omar, who's an anti-Semite. Let me tell you how much of an anti-Semite Ilan Omar is, and how stupid AOC is defending her. By virtue of her religion, she's anti-Semitic. By virtue of being a Muslim, you are against you are against Jewish people. Period. Now, somebody may want to say, "Oh, that's
So first off, I think he's meaning to say, well, let him get through.
not true. Not true. What does the Quran say about the Jewish faith? What does it say?
It says that they are people of the Scripture. It also says that they are people who believe in God. So they believe in the same God as we do. Now, that is not hard to understand, honestly, if you know the Islamic faith and you know the Jewish faith. You'll find that there's a lot of similarity. When the way I view Jews, I don't even really view them very differently religiously. That's just me. And especially compared to Hadith Muslims. I mean, to me, honestly, being completely honest with you, I mean, the Hadith is not something that was um, verified by God, that it's actually a scripture of any religious substance. So I don't give the Hadith any credence, honestly, because the Quran specifically says not to listen to any book after that scripture. So that means that any Hadith is actually not even valid. I mean, the Torah and the Bible would actually be more valid than the Hadith. Um, so, to me, when it comes to that, I kind of find that the Jews, to me, seem more understandable to some extent than specifically Hadith Muslims. So, yeah, when it comes to who makes it to heaven, well, we'll get to that. Let's get to that part next.
Say about the Jewish faith? What does it say about any faith that's not Islam? You don't believe in Allah and Muhammad, his prophet, the final prophet. Listen, if another religion is saying and not acknowledging Muhammad as the final prophet, then in in Islam you are an infidel.
No, not at all. If that was the case, then wouldn't Moses go to hell? I mean, he didn't know about Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him. He didn't, though. So, I mean, you're saying the people in the past would have to go to hell because they can't acknowledge Muhammad? It doesn't even say in the Quran that you have to believe in Prophet Muhammad being God's messenger. You have to believe in Allah in the last day, believe in God in the last day, because Allah is just basically an Arabic word. So basically, you have to believe in God in the last day, and do right, of course. So for Jews, yes, they believe in God, and then they believe in the last day. It specifically says there will be Jews in heaven, and Christians in heaven, and Muslims in heaven. So, yeah, we don't believe that the people of the scripture are going to hell. We do have, you know, the whole infidels thing. I don't know why you guys use that word. I never saw the word infidels. It's actually non believers that I've seen in my Quran. But either way, it's the same term. Non believers are atheists and Hindus and polytheists and idolaters, okay? So people who are just idol worshippers, who praise multiple deities, and people who are like atheists. It kind of makes sense too. Everything makes sense in the Quran. But specifically, this makes sense because if you look at how Hindus are, they're literally out there trying to kill people because they ate burgers. They kill Christians, Muslims, and Jews for eating burgers. So obviously, they're not a very tolerant type. So maybe, since they are a pretty oppressive people, and in the past, in history, many polytheist populations have been very oppressive and lacking moral because, their religions aren't anywhere near real. Um, because of that, these people have, I think, had a situation where, for monotheists, you can gather that maybe these people might not make it to a good place. But as for Christians and Jews, no, that's not Muslims' job to think that they're going to hell. But what I wanted to actually talk about here was this. Christians think that everyone's going to hell who doesn't believe in uh, Jesus or whatever, right? So that means that you guys are anti Semitic. Because you think Jews are going to hell, I guess. Not like it matters to me. I don't care that you think that Muslims are going to hell or Jews are going to hell. But you said that that's anti Semitic. So I guess Christianity is anti Semitic. I would find it really funny, kind of, that Christians try to self impose their idea that if you're not Christian, you go to hell. That to me is like weird. I think it's a two-pronged issue. I think maybe they feel a little guilty, the fact that that's what they're taught. So they want everyone else to have that blanket belief about other religions when we don't specifically feel that way. But yeah, I think you got kind of confused. Maybe you thought that Muhammad was something we worshipped or something. You might have gotten that confused with the Baha'i faith, because they do worship prophets. We don't worship prophets, so it's not like if you don't believe that Muhammad was a prophet, that you automatically go to hell, you know? Because, yeah, he's not God, so, that kind of tells you. Um, so yeah, I just thought that was interesting. So is he saying that he's anti-Semitic because he thinks that Jews are going to hell? Or what exactly is he trying to explain to us? That's what I want to know. Like, okay, you think that Jews are going to hell. I don't honestly think that's a big deal. I personally just don't think they're going to hell because the Quran specifically says there'll be Jews, Christians, and Muslims in heaven. And also, by the way, just to let you know, there will be Muslims in hell, Jews in hell, and Christians in hell as well. It's a matter of what you do. So, like, if you do right, then you basically go to heaven. And if you do wrong, then you go to hell, you know. And being Muslim doesn't make you automatically go to heaven either. I just wanted to point that out because there's a lot of Christians who like believe that if you just say you believe, then you go automatically to heaven. It's just so silly. God isn't dumb. Like, why would it just be a trick phrase to go to heaven? Like, anyone who made up a story like that seems stupid to me, but you know, to each his own. I respect everyone's religion, but it just does seem a little odd to me. Either way, my whole point in this is, it does seem like this whole situation is like Christianity is anti Semitic, apparently. I never thought of Christianity being anti Semitic. I just never really paid attention to it. But I guess if you think of it, to some people that would be anti Semitic. One other thing I wanted to say was you do know of those three. One of those people is Semitic. Now I know Ilhan Omar, whatever her name is. She's not. She's a Hasidic, but Hamitic specifically. But that's a whole different story. But Rashida is definitely Semitic. Just pointing out. Because a lot of the time, these people will say anti Semitic. And it's kind of weird to me because it's like, you do know, you guys like to talk about the Arabs and Arab Muslims, even though they're not the majority, Asians are, but you like to talk about the Arab Muslims and saying that the Arab Muslims are, going to be the main people you focus on. But you don't realize that Arab Muslims are specifically Semites, because Arabs are Semitic. Arabs are Semites. Um, so it's kind of weird when you say someone who is Semitic is literally anti Semitic. How can they be against themselves? Like, understand the definition of Semitic before you actually use the term anti Semitic, you know? But yeah, that's just how I feel about that whole situation. Um, as far as AOC, I don't really like the lady. I don't like Ilhan Omar or Rashida. I was just pointing out some things on religion that was interesting because I was like, you would really consider that anti Semitic, just thinking that Jews are going to hell? And just to clear up that no, as far as Muslims know, we definitely do not think the Jews are going to hell. I don't understand how you would gather that if you actually read the Quran and you understand what it's telling Muslims to do, and then you read the Torah. Because you could tell both are telling the followers to pray 3 times a day, to not eat pork, to praise one God. Many of the same things that they're asking, telling, basically, are very similar. The religions are very similar, so it makes sense that they wouldn't go to hell because the religions are very similar. So what one believes and what the other believes is very similar. So when they um, make it to the next world, they're probably going to have a similar belief, basically. Now, I do think, honestly, that omnipotence, omnipresence, and all that stuff is much more important in the Islamic faith, while the Torah, the Jewish faith, they do have a sacred method, but it's not the same omnipotence and omnipresence that is so consistent, basically, in the Islamic faith. But other than that, like when I say that, I mean like different stories that are in the Torah are different than the other stories in the Quran. But other than that, I do think that they're basically very similar, you know. So I kind of find it weird, like, as a Muslim, how am I supposed to think they go to hell? I mean, I'd be a little bit concerned if their beliefs are going to get them to hell. Then I'm probably not going to get too far away from that because I believe the same things, basically, similar things here. So that would be very concerning if they ended up in hell for their beliefs, you know. So yeah, that's just how I see that. Not to say I would question why they went to hell. I do not question anything, of course not. I'm just a little mud person, like I'm a slave. But I'm just saying that to me it just makes sense that for us we don't believe that Jews are going to hell. Definitely not, and not Christians either. Now Christians to me are a little odd because they believe in, it says in the Quran they believe in God. Now they believe in Jesus and a lot of things, and if you talk to them, it's like they don't even know what they believe. So I get so confused on how that's the same thing as what I believe in. But it says they believe in God, so for me, I'm like, I'm willing to respect that. Somehow they believe in God. I think it's that whole thing as 3 in 1 situation. So I think that's how it's that they believe in one God still somehow. Um, So that's why for me, I mean, like, I personally have always, seen them as, people of the scripture, just the same as the Jews, because they're people of the scripture, Christians and Jews, it's okay to marry them, and it's also okay to eat from them because they're people of the scripture. So, yeah, they're seen as believers, basically. They're not seen as non believers. They are considered believers because they believe in God. I think also there's another thing, like, God is all knowing. So, if someone believes in God but says Jesus, for example, he's all knowing. You get what I mean? God understands people's intentions because he's God. He's omnipotent, all knowing, and omniscient. So that's why, you know, if it's just a different perspective we have going on there. While like a lot of Christians have more of the perspective that you must say Jesus and all this stuff specifically, which almost seems like something else that I don't feel comfortable with specifically pointing out. But yeah, that's what it seems like to me. Anyway, but yeah, what do you think? Is Christianity um, anti-Semitic? Because they basically believe that Jews will go to hell. Is it anti-Islamic because they think that Muslims are gonna go to hell? Are they Islamophobes too? I would never think that. Because I guess to me, I don't care enough that they think that. You know what I mean? I don't think Jews care that Christians think they're going to hell either. But I was just watching a video of another person talking about his religion as a Jewish man, and I could tell when Jews talk about Jesus, they get so kind of tight and sensitive around Christians. It's interesting. Personally, to me, I'm not really offended by how some Jewish people uh, view Jesus. Because, I mean, like, I don't praise Jesus. A prophet is very different. That's why when you say that people don't believe in Muhammad being a prophet, you do understand that for Muslims, we don't personally think that Muhammad is a special prophet because we're literally taught not to make a distinction in the prophets to say one is better than the other. So if you don't believe in Jesus being a prophet, like in the Jews' case, and Muhammad not being a prophet, that's not going to make it where um, that's any different than saying Moses isn't a prophet. You get what I'm saying? None are more special than another, you know. So that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. And tell me your thoughts. So, like and subscribe, comment down below. Have a great day, guys. Bye.